Alright, me again some more. Just noticed I forgot my notes, so who cares? Because, the video I'm responding to is so, again, incomprehensible, I can't do anything with it. It's Professor Anton again. I mean, you do have to talk to these people. They are humans on Earth. They're uttering a philosophy that other people seem to endorse in some way or another, and therefore you have to argue with it. But yeah, it really is. I mean, I saw a Tool Time video the other day. It was just, well, yesterday. It was an upload of a previous video. I don't know what the hell he's doing, but anyway. And it was just all this theology crap, all this philosophy jargon. I mean, not saying a goddamn direct thing. So he's, whatever, some kind of atheist agnostic atheist or something. I don't know, whatever. But I mean, there's just this playing with words all over the goddamn place. It's just that we have to use these words to communicate, and people just don't. They want to refuse. They want to find ways to break the rules, so then they can get all so they can just create enough confusion where they can make any kind of drivel sound like it's a philosophy or truth. And so anyway, Professor Anton asks, the space-time scenario. Somehow space-time has something to do with words. Do we exist in the reality? Are the words the reality? Are the words flying at the speed of light, or are they moving? I mean, who cares? I mean, they're a way of converting brain activity in my head into something that can be transmitted so something else can receive it and have a similar brain experience. That's all. It's a conveyance, a way to communicate, to transfer conception from my head to your head. And that's all it is. And yes, we do it differently than other animals, but again, you're going to argue that the difference is somehow because we've been educated or because we have a history or because of it. No, it's because our brain is a little different. It functions a little differently. And that has to do with the fact that our ancestors played with sound, apparently, and we became, what's the word? There's a trick to the brain. It's a memory trick or whatever it is, where, depending on how you devote the resources, you can, you can open a door that's there, a possibility door, this language thing, where, I mean, if you have enough words, you can, it's the Helen Keller, I can't think of a better example than Helen Keller, so deal with that example maybe, alright, because here you have basically a monkey person, okay, I mean, she didn't have any idea what the world was, okay, she lived in a tiny world of just crude sensation and crude interaction, and slowly she was given these symbolic representations, but she didn't know what they were. She didn't know how to use them effectively, and it wasn't until she had a certain number of them that she had acquired and then all of a sudden there was a relationship between those and reality, and she understood that you could use these associations to see reality, and I guess that's, well, anyway, I mean, I'm using words that might not be appropriate, but that's kind of what it was for her. I mean, she could find vision through vocabulary, because we can describe things, we can add, we can tell stories. I guess that's it too, and that's what language makes possible, because you can't do it without language, because you'll have to waste so much time describing each thing, because if you don't have enough words, it just takes you forever to say rock, or dirt, or tree, or frog, because every description will require you to use the 5 words that you have in bizarre and strange ways to make any coherency out of it. So you need the vocabulary. And incidental to our evolution, we acquired the capacity to store that vocabulary, to be able to represent that many things in our brain, where most animals there was a cutoff, because they didn't need it, they didn't use it in their real life. It's not how their brain needed to function to get the job done, and it wasn't even how our brain needed to function to get the job done, because obviously when we first acquired the potential to think seriously, do the big idea thing, we had no big idea. All we had was questions and a question mark. We didn't have any answers. We didn't have any real intelligence. We didn't have any words. We still only had simple, dumb language, crude language that you couldn't do much with. We weren't worried about theologies and such. But anyway, I've made this point thousands of times. It seems. I guess it's only hundreds in reality. But yeah, we didn't get our intelligence incrementally, evolutionary-wise. Once we had it physically, the physical potential, the rest was just thousands of years of cultural evolution, of doing experiments and acquiring information, and writing it in books and storing it, and being able to pass it on to the future. And so this history thing seems a big deal to you. You seem very invested in the idea that the fact that we have a history is what makes us. And of course it does. But how far back are you going to go with that history? I mean, the last 10,000 years were very, very good to us. But the 50,000 before that weren't much. It was just a bunch of hugging and whapping people over the head with clubs. We weren't learning or getting much from those morons. But they were all part of how we got from how you get, from here to there. Sorry, my arms are a little strange. All right, so again, history, importance. Like I said, I just don't. You want to mystify it? I go ahead, but I can't do anything with this idea that history is any more than what maybe a chimpanzee does when it teaches its young how to catch termites with a stick. There's history. It's passed down generation to generation. Lots of animals do that. Elephants do it. They don't have migration programmed into their brain. The migration has to be learned by the next generation. Lots of things like that. Lots of examples like that. So it's not unique to humans, and I don't even see it as really relevant. I mean, it's relevant is that humans can do this intellectual thing, this hard science thing, this dissecting and defining in explicit ways the world around them. I mean, I guess that's the irony of how I view your philosophy, because the very thing that makes us different, the very thing that is the power of our intelligence, is that ability to dissect, and you run from that. You don't want this rational dissection. You want to dissect in some metaphorical way, so you can, again, I think just fudge, so you can pretty up the characters and make the story sound better. Put a happily ever after on, even, if possible. I think that's your ambition. And we don't need to do the metaphor thing in this case. We can talk about the reality. We don't need the metaphor for consumption and reproduction. It's almost impossible to metaphor it anyway. It's about as rudimentary as you can get. I don't think there's a way to metaphorize consumption. It's a base, bottom line word. And reproduction. These are obvious, explicit concepts. You can't fuck with them. You can't metaphor them. So you're out of luck. Yeah. Again, the space-time stuff, I don't know where you're going with that. I guess you're going to say something like it's all one time and one experience and one blah 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 and whatever. I don't. The details here for us to see. We don't have to clump it all together and say it's all one rock. I can point out the different rocks. They're having not a personal experience that they're experiencing, but they have a life history as an identifiable segment of a whole. And that's what we have identifiable physical space, and we occupy specific time. And there's no point in saying no, because it's right there in front of us. It's happening. So anyway, what else? Yeah, there's no point in arguing this language thing over and over. But I guess, like I said, I don't know what choice I have, because there's so many people out there who are just in love with playing the game. That language has something more to do than just transferring concepts, reflexive concepts inside of our head, connected thoughts, ideas, viewpoint, perspective, It's like I could see in my head a diagram for how to do something. Let's just say it's a recipe, okay, and there's certain ingredients. Well, yeah, I know that, okay, we put this other ingredient in, it makes it really super good. And so I can see it. It's in my brain, the introduction of the 17th ingredient. And all I have to do is convey it to you. Say, okay, when you get to that 16th step where you're stirring, then you put in this and stir some more, and we just augment our conceptions of different things: how to bake a cake, how to drive a car, how to think about life, how to understand human psychology, how we describe evolution and our history on this planet. Sorry, this damn camera, I'm still not pointing it right. I need to put a mirror on it or something.